Hi, this is JohnTommy Rosas with Patent Combination, making another video about Ballona Wetlands. I made a transparency. It's very old, and I wrote over it, but I imposed it on the Google Earth. And it's 1923. Not everything lines up, but the important things do. But you can get the main point. Eh? This right here is the overlay I made with the government 1923 survey and USGS map. That's what all this is. These are my writing and this is my graphic. This is the Ballona Creek. In 1923 and before, it was channeled just enough to get it past this one area. And right at the Culver Electric, where they used to run the train through, and some of that's still here, they had it dumped off right here. This is fresh water. This is not salt water that now goes up that way because this is all so low. And it goes, and I actually got a measurement now, it's 2 miles from the shoreline at high tide up the Ballona Creek channel. So what's important about that is when they talk about restoration in 1923 and actually before, about 1906 to 1909 and then 1920, they had various lawsuits and cases. So this got realigned and different things happened. But on this USGS map, what's important is the federal government determined that the channel should run and stop here. And this is their mark there for fresh water that comes down is let go into the freshwater wetlands that was already existing. It did not go through, like it does now, into the marina. See, now it goes, and then the high and low tides come up it. Before, see the difference right here? Right at area A, right here, you can see that creek line. And so the original Ballona Creek was here, then they channeled it, but they still dumped the fresh water here. They did not mix it or inundate this with more salt water like they want to do in alternative 1, 2, and 3. This is about fresh water. What's important on that is that if it's restoration and the Army Corps and the federal government felt like it was important for these wetlands, and this is their marks, to stay that way, here was a freshwater source. And we had the Sentinella Creek that came through basically right here. So the water might be here, but this is actually lower, and it used to go towards Playa Vista, which is all this right here and down here. So this is very low, and all the wetland markings, this is all fresh water. And then you can also see the saltwater little channels that were here for the estuary. So really the estuary, which is a salt and freshwater mix, is in this area, way down here. This is way down here. This is way down here. And when you look at the transparency, let me back it off over what's there now, right? Where the salt pan is and this and that, that's pretty much how they drew it, right? They only had the salt pan here and maybe here. So this shows that it was existing and that the Army Corps in their graphics, in their map, and their design and everything to dump the water right here, it was for fresh water. So that's why in my graphic I'm saying 1923 USGS shows freshwater wetlands, estuary, and freshwater source, sorry, misspelled it, from Ballona Creek. This was still really actually a creek, even though it was channelized. It did not go to the ocean like I explained, and it also shows the saltwater areas which are down here, right? This is all, you know, undisputed saltwater area. But for them to say they're restoring up in here in area A, which is all the way to here, and pretty much straight down to here, again, look at the graphic transparency under Google Earth. Here's area A. So they want to rip all this out and then have that be saltwater treated, and it was never like that. And what's important about this video and what I'm explaining is that it shows that this was freshwater before, but it was made purposely freshwater restored again by the freshwater restoration of the channel. So they can't say that they're restoring anything. If they're going to restore it, it should be to this this alignment and this source of water, which we can get from Playa Vista's freshwater right here. You know, it's right here actually, sorry. It's right here, and we can, I'm gonna make a graphic on the pumping, but we can restore that freshwater source. So, what does that mean? In the EIS, we have to go for the freshwater alternative. This had originally freshwater, we know historically, but also back to 1923, 94 years, that's what was supposed to, you know, continue. And I think that's what we have to hold. The Army Corps made this determination, so they can't get permits to tear in the 408 scheme they made with the county and the 404 with the Fish and Wildlife and the BWER here to change it into salt water. It's just fraud. So what I have here is the alternative one, and you can see where they want to inundate this with salt water. It will not be what was there before. You can see their alternative, and then you can see what was there before. You can see that where they're jumping, where they're saying flow here is fraud, because the salt water will be there. There's never going to be any flow that way except for the tide. This is not a freshwater flow. They say Ballona Creek flow like it's coming down, but where is the source? This green area is all going to be in salt water because we know the tides go up to 10 feet. And they're going to have to dig this. I did some math on that. It's quite a bit of material, 6 to 9 million cubic yards of material. I'm going to put the salt water in green. The saltwater estuary definitely is in here, right, where these things are. And there is a blend in here. It's JohnTommy Rosas from Tatton. Video on the freshwater alternative that I came up with. This is a graphic. Has a freshwater, which is a blue, and a green, which is the plant. The darker green, like this, is trees. Arrangement that would work there with one pipeline. And it shows up, this is the pipeline system. It wouldn't be that big, but I wanted to keep the same amount of flow going. We would have a pump station running through a Driscoll line, probably about a 4-inch diameter line, and it would run all the way through and have sprinklers and rainbird, larger sprinklers, so it pretty much cover all the areas. It won't be like a creek that runs. It'll just be pooled areas, you know, small wetland freshwater plants, larger ones, medium size, and then willow trees and whatever else, coastal oak. This graphic is the trees on area A that I made on a 3D program. You can see they're animated, but you get the idea. And I made a Google Earth video of area A as it is now, and then here's that overlay, and you can see this area A as a whole, and all these palms and all the cleanup from SoCalGas would have to happen to get their and separate to get their oil infrastructure out and cleaned up. I'm just kind of flying around and showing you the kind of how it would look in different places. What kind of looked before and what it looks like, what it looked like after we got the fresh water in there. It's a huge difference. And there'd be trees. You can't really see how the tree heights would be. This is just kind of the footprint of it. But it would be a big increase in habitat and of course the animals and all that. And that would be the best way to restore the area A. And it also can include parts of B, because the saltwater part ends here. So if we look at here, over here, these are the same color, they're fresh water, and that is not in the EIS. There's only salt water, and this is deceptive, because like I said before in the other video, this will never happen. This whole area will be full of salt water. This is not accurate. But for them to use this and have the artists draw this in a deceptive manner, show their pattern and behavior, just expressing my opinion. You folks can look at the information inside here. So this is on the view blockage of the levees.
that they don't have any graphics on, so I've made these. And I've put these polygons in to show the basic height. Right where these light poles are, that's about 20 feet. And the levees will be that high or more, as I put here. And that applies to all of it that I'm showing you. But this is just to give you an idea of that normally you would be able to see from the road. This is Jefferson, this is PCH Lincoln. So that's an issue. And that includes pedestrian, bikes, and cars, the visual blocking of the levees and the heights. They're not going to be right on this close. They're going to be in a little bit. So that's what you will not see, and that's what will occur in the levee, Alt 1 levees, and they're blocking. And that's forever. I mean, that's not going to change. This way is the Fiji Way, so the open space will be lost.